Today, one of the most important, just one word, creating a problem everywhere in the world. See, there are many things which are creating several problems, but this is something which is creating a problem at the personal level. This is something, this one word, this understanding. I'll explain to you what that word is. But that one word which is creating a problem at the personal level, the one word which is creating a problem at the level of the society, that one word which is also creating a problem at the level of various communities, that one word which is creating a problem at the level of states, countries, probably by and large, even globally. It is creating a problem politically, it is creating a problem in organizations, it is creating a problem with responsibilities. It is creating a problem with parents and children. It is creating a problem with corporate offices in terms of productivity. So that one word which is not understood, that one word which is so freely used, you may not use it, but that one word which is so freely, you may not even know that this is happening to you. But that one word which is also nothing but a feeling, based on the feeling you act, and that is validation. The problem with people today, the problem with people of the past, of even the real past, and the problem, if we don't address this, if we don't understand this, it will continue to be in the future, is you humans seeking for validation. That's what you must understand. If you look up validation, don't go by the exact dictionary meaning, but validation is something which you want a stamp. You want your actions to be recognized. You want your job to be, you want a pat on the back. You want a good comment from your spouse. You want your children to speak good about you. See, today the world is it is so fickle. More than fickle, it is that fickleness comes from feebleness. It is so feeble, fickle and feeble, that people get upset at comments passed on strangers. So social media has become a death knell of your personality. See, use the social media for your benefit. But if you don't know how to handle the outrageous behavior of ungoverned minds who lack not only knowledge but culture, and these ungoverned minds which lack knowledge, culture, forget wisdom, they have a tendency to vomit, to talk anything without understanding the depth. And you, who are a part of that user, what are you doing? You're getting upset at that. See, you're so feeble, you're getting upset at someone who's sitting in 4,000 miles, 5,000 miles away. See, what you must understand, the advent of progression, the advent of progression was the discovery of the internet. And what did that internet do? Internet means netting everything internally. Externally, it also means externally. So what does internet do? Internet was a medium for you to connect with the world. That's what it was created. So that was created for your benefit. A, a search platform was created to benefit you so that you can feel, learn, become closer to various communities in the world, to various cultures in the world, to get more knowledge, information about several behavioral patterns in the world so that you can benefit from that and use it for your own progressive life. But there are always more than one effect to any discovery. That's what you must understand. Any discovery, you can't expect that discovery to have only one effect. Even though it was created for your benefit, there could be always a second effect for those who don't know how to handle that. And that is an effect for your detriment. See, watch this documentary on Netflix. It's Einstein and the bomb. He's talking about how that atomic bomb, which was created, and Einstein, and I don't want to give it out, but you all must watch it, how he left Germany. How he left Germany because of the unrest going on. The Jews and the ruler at that time, as you all know, the Holocaust, which was happening. So several people had to leave Germany. So he left Germany and he came to England. And then he was protected in England because probably he would have been killed. But he left England and then he came to the US. And of course, he spent his last days in the US. And how that his formula is that matter E equals that small matter, the small amount of matter could be converted into a huge matter, which can be used, atomic energy can be used for your benefit or for your detriment. And then the judgment day of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So how he feels, probably guilty, that maybe it was him who had caused it. But it is not him who had caused it. It was the power had gone in the hands of whoever at that time. And I'm not saying is whatever happened was right or wrong. I'm only talking about Einstein's state of mind, that he felt that there were millions who were affected by that use, or rather misuse, of atomic energy. So what you must understand, there are two effects to every aspect of life. So, friends, validation is something which is wanting recognition, wanting a pat on your back, a feel-good factor. It's a certification for your hard work. You want to validate your status, you want to validate your deed, you want to validate your success by other people recognizing you. So the internet was created, search engines were created. Then there were finer models. You find technologies getting advanced and advanced and advanced, far more advanced. Today, even if you search something, today is the world of artificial intelligence. So today, if you search something, it comes. Immediately, you get a compilation. Of course, you need to process that information. But what we are trying to say is, today the world is so fickle and feeble that you want a validation. Or rather, you get upset if someone else 5,000, 6,000 miles away is who you have no clue about and writes something nasty about you, and you get upset with that. Validation. See, you are not, this is something even far more dangerous, that you are seeking for validation from some person you don't know. I can understand you seek for validation from your own family members. I can understand you seek for validation from your own friends, your kith and kin, your professional acquaintances. But seeking for validation from entities who you have no clue about, if that upsets you, that shows the state of your mind, which is fickle, feeble. We need to attend to that. So, what we must understand, probably if you see, this is far more prevalent, this seeking for validation is far more prevalent in the Asian communities, South Asian communities. In India, you find by and large in Asia. I'm not saying it's not there in the Western culture, it is there. But there, they believe to do their job. See, the capitalistic society is such, they believe to do their job, and their validation is that money which they get for doing their job. They don't get into this emotional mumbo jumbo, by and large, I'm saying, to create a total potpourri of emotions. Is nothing but a potpourri of emotions, where you seek, where you complicate things, you complicate issues. See, validation it can be, again, as I said, every cause could have more than one effects, not necessarily one effect. But validation could be internal. You yourself validate your action and feel good about it. I'm going to come to that later. But in the Western culture, they don't get into this emotional protein shake, as it were. There's no protein in it. There's only carb shake. You put everything together and you create a shake out of that. Western culture is far more straight lined. That they do the work. See, I'm not going to mention which country, but it was in Asia. Some country in Asia. What I'm trying to say is, see, why are countries backward? Why are countries not forward? Of course, one of the main reasons is the leaders, they are not able to drive people. They are not able to inspire people. But I'm not getting into that. I'm not making this talk political. I'm talking about something philosophical. See, I was walking and I saw these people are supposed to come to work at about 9 o'clock. Even at 9:30, 9:45, instead of getting the work done, all of them are supposed to attend to that work. And there are only 2 people attending to that work. There are 4 other people who, one is talking on the phone, one is looking at his mobile, one is talking about something, one is slowly bringing. See, there is no value for time. There is no value for time because there's no concept of time. There's no concept of time because you don't have respect for the work. You don't have respect for your work because you don't know, you don't have an awareness about yourself. And this comes out of years and years of a lazy culture. See, that I'm just talking about one part, that one group. I'm not saying the entire country was like that. But that one job, vis-a-vis, again, I'm comparing this. Please get the spirit of it. Again, I'm not going to say which country it was, because people will say, "Oh, he's making this talk has become political," and I'm not getting into that. I'm only educating you all with a caution. It was a Western country. It was a country in the West. See, they had to do a patchwork. You all understand? A bitumen, a asphalt patchwork at the entrance of a park. There's a park. There was probably 1 by 1 patchwork. See, general patchworks can be done with machines, but this patchwork had to be done by a vibrator. You understand what a vibrator is? A vibrator. And of course, there were 4 people who was doing that. But since it was probably 1 by 1, 1 feet by 1 feet, or probably 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet, it required more skill, it required more attention. All of you all, listen carefully. As we were entering that park, I have witness here, my colleague who's there with me. As we were entering that park, we wanted to, as we were entering that park, our eyes went there. What are these guys doing? And when we went there, our eyes went on that patchwork, and we stopped. And we thought this is something which we have to watch. Listen to me carefully. We were going there for a run in the morning. We stopped. It was music. How they did that patchwork. How they had everything organized. The asphalt, you all understand, right? Dumber is asphalt. It was burning on one side. They had it hot. They had a heater for that. They had it hot. They had stones which were in a wheelbarrow. They had a particular cement which was contained in a trough. And the mixing was done in a trough, in another trough. So everything was so well organized that they had the right equipments, they had the right, what do you call them? They had the right spade, they had the right, you call that something, right? When you take the cement and paste that. You take the cement and you put it, anyway, it is something, it's a construction equipment. We went that, we saw that, and we wanted to come back. We waited there for about half an hour. We said, come on, let's go quickly and come back. We went for an hour and we came back. The final touches, they took the vibrator on that 1.5 by 1.5 foot patch. They rolled it after cutting. And you know how they cut it? Like you cut, that piece was cut like you cut a piece of cake. The road, it is the main road. Just next to the main road of the park, they cut a 1 foot by 1 foot patch, beautifully cut, neatly cut. They filled everything in. And when they left, we waited there. Are you all with me? We waited there. When they left, they cleared the whole place, cleaned the whole place. There was no traces of any work which was probably done there. Not a morsel, not a figment, or not an element of anything lying there. Flat. They merged that 1 feet by 1 feet on that road. What I'm trying to tell you all, they came at 7:30 and they left at 10:30. Are you with me? Completely laser sharp focus, completely bottled concentration. The concentration was in the bottle, almost like a light which is coming from a funnel. That amount of concentration they had. They had everything. They finished the work and they left. This where I'm talking about in one of the Asian countries where I was going, walking, the South Asian country. Next day, I went the same place because I was visiting that place. Next day when I went, that job had been undone, shabby, shoddy, and all the cement was lying everywhere. When you do a job, all I'm trying to tell you all is, these people in the West, They are completely focused on their job. They come, they do the job, and their validation is nothing but you give us money and out. They don't care about what you talk, what you backbite them, you talk about them, you don't talk about them. They don't care. That's your business. If you got to talk, oh well, she's got to handle that. I have nothing to do with that. Well, I get my paycheck for the work I do. I get the paycheck. That's the capitalistic mentality. But in the South Asia, in the Asian communities, you will find validation and validation and validation. What is that validation? You want people to talk good about you. You want people to recognize that work. You want people to say that you are right. Believe that they should believe that whatever you're doing is right. Whatever you're doing is correct. You want validation for that. What is correct? What is incorrect? So all your life, see, religions want validation. Communities want validation. Individuals want validation. People who are working in an organization, oh, my boss doesn't say anything good about me. How much I work, how much I work. That stems from an egoistic feeling. It's a feeling, but stemming from the merging of the mind with your ego. It's not rational. Please understand. See, your ego is already connected. Your ego is already, you already feel your ego. What is the ego? That when you connect every aspect of yours to your own personality without not recognizing the contribution of others, you flame that personality of yours and you feel a sense of superiority. That is ego. When it comes to work. So, what do? You believe that this work which has been done, this work I'm doing, I should be feeling my boss hasn't said good things about me. Where is that coming from? From that ego which is connected to your mind. And what does the ego do? The ego connects to the mind, or rather the mind connects to the ego, because the ego is there from the time you're born and gets a feeling of validation that when I am doing this work, so that my boss says good things about me, and that makes me happy. So that feeling is nothing but coming out of the like of the mind. It is raga. Raga means like. And if your boss doesn't say that, or if you don't get recognition for that work, then you get upset. Then your morale is down. You cannot handle that sense of non-validation. So, see, the Indian culture, what is sad is in our Vedanta philosophy, in the Vedanta philosophy, they talk about finding joy. They talk about deriving joy. Mark my words carefully. They talk about finding joy. They talk about deriving joy from work itself. It is work. What is work? Your talent at display. What is the definition of work? Nothing but your talent at display. Your birth is for a particular purpose, and your birth probably contains several talents of yours. You are, they say, multi-talented person. However, even a multi-talented person has one talent, which is you take as your mainstream personality and you work. So what is that work? Nothing but, what is that work of yours? Nothing but talent at display. When you display your talent, you're working. And where is that display? Where is that work stemming from? One word. This is therefore India was known as the golden eagle, the golden bird, because India was golden because of this knowledge they had researched upon, which was Vedanta. And Vedantic knowledge was for human beings. So what these masters did, they researched on Vedanta philosophy. They researched on human beings. And once they researched on human beings, they understood that once we gave these laws, we introduce these laws to human beings, all humans, anywhere in the world, they ought to read these laws, accept these laws, understand these laws, and function in the world accordingly. So that you do not have any cataracts, so that you don't have any stumbling blocks. So, what is work? Your talent at display. What is your talent? Where is it? Where's your talent coming from? Anyone? Where's your talent coming from? From one word. Where do you work? Why do you work? Where is it coming from? One word.
Your vasanas,
What is that?
sanskar,
See, it comes from the sense of obligation. You are doing it because it is your obligation to do it. So you are obligated as a employee, you're obligated as a boss, you're obligated as a child, you're obligated as a parent. So when your talent is at display and the fulcrum, the genesis of your talent is stemming from the sense of obligation which you have, and you connect that talent to the obligation. See, your talent independently can lead to ego. But when your talent connects to that sense of obligation, so the whole action of yours is stemming from my sense of obligation. So obligation, it triggers your talent, and your talent triggers the work you do. But if the whole thing is stemming from obligation, then you do not seek, want, crave, desire for any validation from anyone, because the Bhagavad Gita in the Vedanta philosophy says, Bhagavad Gita says, Karyam karma karotiyah sassanyasi cha yogi. One who does his obligatory duties is a man, he is a sage, he is a man of wisdom. So such people don't require validation. Why do you require validation? And if you don't get that validation for whatever reason, see, your boss maybe had a fight with his wife. Therefore, he appreciates your work, but that particular day probably he had a fight with his wife, and therefore he was not able to recognize your work. But what are you doing? Stewing in your juice. Why? For that want of validation. So friends, understand, stop this wanting for validation from anyone. How do you change this feeling? You need to change this feeling by understanding your obligations and understanding the real joy is in performing work. That real joy, what you are seeking for, it's not an obligation. I'm sorry, it is in our obligation, but it is not in your like. It is not in your like. Raga, because what you like is not necessarily what you get. And what you dislike is most of the times is what you get. That's what you must understand. What you like is most of the time is not what you actually should get, but you get that. But it's not good for you, it's detrimental for you. But what you don't like is probably necessary for you to set your things right. So do not seek, want, desire, validation, that sense of validation. Yes.
Raj, I have not understood this that this talent
Sorry,
comes from
we couldn't hear you. Sorry.
I have not understood that this talent comes from obligation. I'm not understanding this.
No, I'm not saying talent comes from obligation. I'm saying talent comes from your desires, from your vasanas, from your personality. But when the talent is coming from the ego, then you want people to recognize your work. But when you connect your talent to your obligation, to your sense of obligation, that this is what, whether I like it or not, whether that person, any person who I'm working for, whether he recognizes me, whether they like me, whether they gift me, whether they pat me, whether they do whatever, I ought to do this work. I do it and I move out. So when you come from a sense of obligation, this is my obligation towards my husband, this is my obligation towards my children. Whatever my children say, I will hold my respect, but I will not go extra pamper them, extra create another monster out of them, spoil them. See, I have known parents, many rich parents, because of the lack of time, they were not able to give their children because they were working. So they compensated their children with money, with gifts, with holidays, with expensive stuff. And that backfired. The children took everything. See, what you must understand is that the children took everything. They were all happy. But at a later stage, they fired the parents. They said that who asked us, who asked you all to give this to us? We didn't ask for it, you gave it. When the children got smarter, they finished off the parents by saying, we never wanted your time, we never wanted your toys, we never wanted your money, we wanted your time. So the point is, your talent and work. See, this work is the ultimate effect. Before that comes your talent. But your talent should come out of your sense of obligation, not from ego. That's what it is. You understand that, Harshaji? Yeah. So understand. So, karyam karma karoti. You ought to do what you ought to do and not seek for validation. When you perform your actions, when you perform your work, you will be benefited. And your work, the pleasure of yours, lies in your work, not in validation. Your joy lies in your work. Your happiness lies in your work. What you ought to do, you do and move out, not seek for validation. See, you may say, what you may answer, but how will the person know? The person will know. And see, I'm not saying be blind. I'm not saying that. See, that's totally. You may not understand that. You may not understand that the hand who works for you incognito. Suppose if there is a hand which works, and not seeks anything, whichever that hand is, that hand will always be benefited. That is too difficult for you to understand. But in practicality, you may say that I am doing so much, but this man or this wife of mine, she doesn't understand that. I'm not saying that you don't have to ensure that that person knows. See, imagine you get a check every month. Every month you get a check. And you don't bother to find out who's that person who's sending you the check. Your attitude is, I am getting a check. That's it. Doesn't matter. It's coming from somewhere. I am getting a check. No, that's it. Why should I do? You have been getting this check for the last 5 years and you're using that money without you contributing that in ignorance. You don't know whether you've contributed that in the past, but you are getting some amount. Shouldn't you find out from where is this source of income coming from? And why is it coming to me? Am I the rightful beneficiary for this amount? See, one of the greatest qualities of a human being is to say no. No, thank you. Anything given to you, that attitude, please. Don't go and start breaking people's heart if they bring something for you. Say, I don't want it. Don't create a fight. But that attitude is you don't want anything. And if you get something, it should be that that beneficiary, if you want to be the beneficiary of that, you should have a sense of feeling and knowledge that you have, you are the rightful beneficiary, that you are the deserver. You deserve that. Otherwise, you don't know. So, all I'm saying is, I'm not asking you all to be impractical and just keep on doing what you have to do and be treated as doormats. I'm not saying that. Like keep on doing, and people take advantage of you. I'm not saying that. Don't, please understand the grandeur of what I'm saying. I'm talking about the power of obligation versus the want of validation. You must recognize the power of obligation versus the weakness of the want of validation. You must understand that. Once you understand that, you will be in a different level functioning. And wanting to constantly believe that people should say you are right, you are right, you are right. And wants to see, the problem with you is, see, there was a lady who used to meet me constantly, sir, I'm misunderstood. I'm misunderstood. And not only me, sir, I know so many people. We do everything. See, you must understand. How can you expect validation? All minds are not same. So use wanting validation. It's nothing but, see, the simpler form of validation is what? The pleasing game. You want to please, 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 and want people to say that it was very nice. You had a function, you want people to say, oh, see, I know a lady, she does everything possible. She goes, she gets exhausted. She leaves no stone unturned to ensure that every function of hers goes perfect. And if some people say something, she's upset for months. So, how can you? So, there are people who are misunderstood. There's a lady I told you, she's misunderstood. Oh, people misunderstand me, sir. And not only me, there are so many people in the world. People are they misunderstand me. They don't understand my intention. Hey, how can you expect people to understand you? The wise don't judge, the ignorant keep on judging. A wise person doesn't judge anyone. It is the ignorant people who keep on judging you. And you want to be amidst the company of the ignorant. And they judge you. And you get upset. And still you want to be in that company. Whose mistake it is? It's like there's a hot plate there. There's a sign there, hot plate, don't put your hand. You put your hand there, you get burnt. So again next time, hot plate, you put your hand there, again you get burnt. Again you keep on committing the same mistakes. And you don't learn by that. So the wise don't judge. So people, this lady, she had a major problem. So what is that? So you want validation. What is the validation? People should understand me. That's a validation. So they should not judge me. They should understand me. What is that? Validation. See, Ralph Waldo Emerson, he says, Ralph Waldo Emerson is a guru of America, United States of America. R.W. Emerson, one of the most finest literatures he wrote. He says, learn this, make a note, etch it in your head, and keep it somewhere. Misunderstood! Exclamation. Misunderstood. It is a right fool's word. The fool is right, but he's still a fool. Misunderstood. It is a right fool's word. Is it so bad then to be misunderstood? Question mark. He's asking us, is it so bad to be misunderstood? Question mark. Then he says, Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. That ever took flesh means that ever the pure and wise spirit ever took flesh means whoever was born in that wise and pure spirit. the birth. Then he says, this last line you got to understand. This last line should change your life. Then he says, to be great is to be misunderstood. Misunderstood. It is a right fool's word. Is it so bad then to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Anything you do in life, it's for the benefit of people, they'll misunderstand you. Not all, but most. So stop seeking validation. Anything you do for the betterment, there were people who said, say the world is flat, say the world is flat. A man who said the world is round, he was killed. This is the world. And you're seeking validation for your pure actions. From whom? From the world, who don't understand you. If you want to seek validation, you may say, sir, I need validation. If you want to seek validation, then seek it from a wise man, seek it from a cultured man, seek it from a person who's wise and mature. Seek validation from such people. But stop seeking validation for your actions, which emanate from your feeling, make you weak, feeble, and you get paltry joys when someone recognizes you. This is not a life of a human being. A human being is one who performs all necessary actions which need to perform. And whether people like it or not, he goes on performing his actions, exhausting his desires, exhausting his vasanas for whatever he's taken birth, and works for a higher goal. Works. So that satisfaction of work, that happiness lies in that work because his work is directed towards a goal, towards an ideal, and not for selfish and self-centered desires, not to work for his ego. So such people don't seek validation because their joy lies in itself. See, please also understand, validation does not mean that if you want to refer to something, if you want to refer to a wise person to correct your mistake, that you can do. It's not an egoistic stand that you take, oh, I have done whatever I want to do, and that's it. I don't want to listen to anything. It's not that. If you want wisdom, if you need guidance, you may also talk to people who know your work and you're not probably confident in a particular area. So correction is fine. Guidance is fine. That's not seeking for validation. But seeking for validation is constantly wanting to feel good, constantly wanting a pat on your back, constantly wanting people to say good about you, constantly wanting people to understand you, constantly seeking validation for whatever you do in your life. It is a life of a beggar. Constantly go and knock and beg for people to like you, for people to validate your work. It is not a life of a prince. A life of a prince, a life of a princess is to work for a higher cause, do whatever you have to do, and leave it. Like Ralph Waldo Emerson says, and even when you've done everything and you become great, he says, to be great is to be misunderstood. So even at that level, people will misunderstand you. So therefore, what should you do? As Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night follows day. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as thy night follows day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. What is Satyam? You got to be true to yourself. Satyam means truth. You got to be true to yourself. You got to be true to your conviction, your conscience, your entire being, your character. And if you function from that standpoint, just be true to yourself. You may or may not be understood. But in life, you must understand one thing. Stop seeking for validation, because seeking for validation is feeble. It's a weakness. And that weakness, that feebleness can soon turn into a deadly disease And that disease could be an epidemic, and that epidemic could be a pandemic, and it'll lead to your disaster. No validation, only obligation.